Hello, my name is Amanda Dunas. I'm from the Positive Thinking Clinic at Wallay Creek. In recent times, I've had the opportunity to speak with some Year 12 boys and girls during these difficult times of COVID. Now it's currently September 2020, and these teenagers have really had a rocky ride. I've recently upgraded my youth mental health first aid, and so a lot of the discussion and conversation was also revolving around what our kids are going through these days, as opposed to, or in addition to, what hardships they may experience as just being normal teenagers compared to other years. Now, I guess we can agree with each child is an individual and has their own coping mechanisms and own difficulties. But I have noticed a trend, and kids are tending to group together and share and therefore agree with themselves and each other that this is the worst year for them ever. Now, I very much understand, especially I'm in Sydney, New South Wales, and the local group that I've connected with recently, they've been distressed about formals not going ahead, end year fun celebrations being banned. They can't, and this is the year that most of them are turning 18. They can't have their parties. And I can't help but to think somehow, because I'm also a mum of a 17 to 18-year-old, so I'm silently happy that they're not having the opportunity to have these big, bold parties. But it's not about us mums or us dads, or it's actually about the teenager and what's going on in their world. Now, the teenage years, they're difficult years. I have a resource that I use when I have a lot of teens come through my clinic. It's very noticeable that the young kids, they come, they talk, they blab and they say what they want, and you can jump from any conversation. And it's easy to get them talking. Some kids that don't want to speak, give them pen and paper, and whilst they're drawing or writing, they're also talking. We do a little bit of a sand tray activity, or even Play-Doh, or Lego, or anything at all. You can get kids talking, and you can pretty much talk about a variety of different topics. But the teenagers, it's not so easy. The adults who struggle to speak, they want to speak and know that they are here to speak and to share their goals and their distress and their pain points. But some teenagers are brought by their parents or even on their own free will, but get stuck on how to communicate effectively. Now, I've seen a trend with these teens. Most of what they want to put it down to is, this is the worst year ever, we can't do this and we can't do that. So for them, their problem is the lack of social connection. As I was saying, I have a resource here, and it's called Deep Speak. And it's so appropriate, as you can imagine the title, Deep Speak. And it's a card resource, and it's specifically for teenagers who really struggle to actually speak. So it prompts you on what to use for conversations. Now, even through this resource, I've discovered kids get to talk by just showing me a card to give me an indication, hey, that's how I'm feeling, but I don't want you to talk about it. I've had a child go to this section and say, okay, well, see that rainbow there? I feel I'm part of that community, yet nobody knows. And had I not had that resource, how would I have known if I hadn't asked the question directly? And would they have felt comfortable enough to actually speak back to me and tell me what they're honestly thinking or feeling? But the kids that I connected with in recent times, the social disconnection that they're experiencing, even when sport was called off, I think we've taken for granted how good the social interaction is for our kids that the school systems have in place. Now, I must say, and I know a lot of people have a lot of opinions, but my only focus right here, right now, is what our kids are saying. They're saying we need to be able to have more freedom to go places, to connect with each other. And whilst many of them have said, oh, we've connected via online activities like gaming or Snapchats, which is what they were doing anyway, the fact that they had rules and they were not allowed, or they weren't allowed to even go for their P's. And some of these kids really expressed how unfair that was. And of course, kids will say, that's unfair, it's not fair, and why me? And I know outside that bracket, adults say it and other kids say it too, but we're just staying specifically with this age group. A lot of these kids are experiencing anxiety, stress, overwhelm. Nobody set them up for homeschooling. That online learning that we had to endure for a period of, I can't remember how many weeks it was. I'm a great online learner. I love it because I know how to do it. And I see the advantage in it. It's convenient and I pay attention. Some of the kids just say, I can't do that. I have to be in class to learn. And the kids were taking the easy way out. They were pretending that they were online, and they have found loopholes in the Zoom system to show that, yeah, I'm there, but it's just a screenshot of them that somehow they've been able to put on there, and their teachers think that they were on Zoom. But it's not just kids. A lot of the adult courses, one of the courses that I did a few years back, NLP, a friend of mine wanted to do that course as well, but now it's moved online. And she was so enthusiastic to do this course. She was so looking forward to it. When she found out, because of COVID, that it's going to go online, she withdrew. And she said, I can't learn like that. I won't pay attention. And I guess we have to respect that. It's a serious course and you need serious attention. And so she opted out. And so it's not for everybody. Now, some of the kids are thinking, I'll get into university easy because the borders are shut and so we can't have the overseas students come and take our positions. I'm just saying the conversations that they're having. Some of the kids are saying, I've given up. I don't know what I want to do. I can't think, I can't concentrate. There's problems with their boyfriends and girlfriends. They're experiencing stress and they say that they're having more stress than usual. Some of the kids are also saying that it wasn't so bad. They enjoyed it. They got a pet. They got a new dog. And I've heard that from the wider community anyway. And really, statistically, you'll see the sales have actually increased for purchasing of pets. Even the aquarium industry, more fish were bought and more hobbies endured. And I know that because my older son is in the fish industry. And so, but unfortunately, purchasing of the popular little puppies that everyone's been buying, their prices went from like a normal cavoodle, which could have been, I don't know, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. I don't know. Now they've been selling them for like $6,000 or $7,000. So speaking of money, some of these kids have said, for me to work effectively from home, I've needed to upgrade my computer or my laptop. I've needed a printer. I've needed to set up and do my office. Or they'll complain, I've got no privacy, or there's so much noise at my house, or my parents are working from home as well. So it's really shaken up the kids. And I've never seen these kids say, I'd rather be at school, when typically a lot of kids are like, I want to take a day off school. They want to go to school now for connection. They can't wait to go and they play their team sport. They want the connection. Before, it was just a natural part. They didn't ever imagine, and this is their words, they never imagined life without sport or social functions because they just thought it was just normal. And in fact, it was normal. So now that it became a new normal, they didn't adjust very well. Even things inside the school system have changed. They can't, they're still asked to socially distance. They can't go to different venues as freely as they could so that they can train or play their competitive sports. The excursions that they would do, visiting other places. Some of them were due to go for overseas educational trips. None of that now. So they really are feeling disadvantaged. And when that happens, they aren't always in control of what's going on in their minds. In their minds, some of them have explained, they're saying, it always happens to me. This is the worst year of my life. This is going to set me up for failure. And I got them all to write down their one sentence, and they all, and I just quoted 3. And there was some sad sentences I don't need to repeat either, or just how unfair it was compared to my brother, or why couldn't it have happened to that person? Not that that's an appropriate thing to say, but I'm just sharing what they think. And most of the teens, or some to most of them, think that their parents don't understand, and they're just really, really wanting to have gatherings of more than 10. But it's nice to know that most of them are respecting the rules. The schools, and I'm talking specifically about these kids that I spoke to, their particular schools, which I don't need to name, have really drummed to them, do the right thing because you have parents. Do the right thing because you have grandparents. So the kids know that I better do the right thing because there'll be consequences, health consequences for others. Earlier on, they told me that they didn't really care so much because they had heard that, oh, it doesn't happen to kids. Kids can't get COVID. And so they thought, oh, we'll be fine. We won't get any symptoms, until they discovered via the news or via school or via conversation that, yeah, you can get it. You can get the symptoms, and whilst it might not affect you, you can pass it on to your parents or your grandparents or aunties and uncles or any elderly. And so the kids have really decided to buckle down and respect the rules. They're just not liking it, and they're really feeling unfair. So I guess, in a nutshell, that's what they've been going through. Most of these kids see a therapist. Some of these kids are taking medication to relieve anxiety or to help calm, and some are taking supplements for sleep. Some of them have had suicidal thoughts. One or two, I know, I'm not quite sure because I've spoken to such a range of kids, but I'm talking about this particular group, have done some self-harm, substance abuse. And so what else I heard in that conversation is that the schools have been very helpful, very understanding, very compassionate, very resourceful. And so it's nice to know that these kids feel that they have a support network. Spring is coming. The sports are back on. End year is nearly happening. They're going to be on holidays soon, and they're looking forward to holidays. They're upset because schoolies has been cancelled, but I heard something today that schoolies may be back on. So by the time I actually publish this video, who knows what the story is. In fact, don't take any of the state rules that I may say, and I'm trying my best not to announce any restrictions because I know they just change all the time. The whole point is our kids have been affected. Our kids want life back to normal, and our kids are suffering, and they're not telling, most of them are not telling their parents. Some of these kids that I spoke to are saying that they don't want to tell their parents, they don't want to upset their parents are going through hard times themselves, and they just take it on the chin, or they want to hang out with their friends. They're missing the boy-girl interaction because of the limited numbers. These Year 12 students are sticking to their own school, whereas normally they meet up. There's a whole bunch of them, and they're from sometimes different schools that have become friends or siblings. So that's what these kids told me. So my point today is just to share with you what I've learned from a bunch of kids who thought they'd get together and just let me know what's going on in their world. It's been tough, but I made sure that by the time we finished our conversation, that everyone told me one good thing that they're looking forward to, and that everyone told me one good thing that has happened during COVID. So I did my best to make sure it finished on a good note. So if you're a teen doing the HSC this year, good luck. One day this will all be an adventurous story that you can tell, and it will be in the past. So chin up, look forward, do your best. That's all you need to do. You've been listening to Amanda Dunas from the Positive Thinking Clinic.